He made the turn better with the last adjustments, crew chief Stephen Doran did. Now he's just needing a little bit of overall grip. He told him I could give up some through the right-handers in the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger. Right now he needs the turn. It's better with him as well, but gave up some rear grip as we see trouble for Kyle Larson there.
Oh, big trouble. He's lost the right front wheel.
Wheels have fallen off the bus. That's not the wheel they were even waiting on, Kevin. They were working on the left rear.
And that will have implications beyond today.
Well, here we go again. We saw this race
at short run speed.
Off of pit road speed and that short run speed, and there you see Kyle Larson's tire. That'll be bad news for next week.
Kyle Larson's weekend at the Circuit of the Americas turned into a cascade of problems during Sunday's EchoPark Automotive Grand Prix. The former NASCAR Cup Series champion found himself on the wrong end of multiple penalties that completely derailed what had started as a promising race. After qualifying 7th on the grid for the 95-lap event, Larson's fortunes took a dramatic turn for the worse through a combination of confusion, bad luck, and pit crew errors. The 32-year-old driver faced multiple issues that compounded throughout the race day. What began with a controversial track limits penalty soon spiraled into mechanical problems that left Larson's number. 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet limping back to the pits minus a wheel. The race ended with Larson far from where he and his team expected to finish, sitting in 32nd place and facing further penalties from NASCAR officials. The trouble started with widespread confusion over track limits at the newly reconfigured 2.3-mile COTA circuit. NASCAR officials had stated that the S's would be enforced for track limits, but there was significant misunderstanding among teams about which specific turns this included. Most teams interpreted this to mean turns 3, 4, 5, and 6 would be monitored. However, conflicting information circulated through the paddock during the race. Adding to the confusion, NASCAR officials told some Cup teams that limits weren't being enforced in Turn 6, while other officials told spotters the opposite. Larson's crew chief asked his spotter during the race, "Is it true that NASCAR is not policing track limits in 6? I received a message that they are not." The spotter's response highlighted the communication breakdown. "I have not heard that." The official up here said, "They are." In the midst of this chaos, Larson cut turn 3 while running in 8th position on lap 33. NASCAR promptly hit him with a stop-and-go penalty, dropping him from 8th to 16th position. When informed of the penalty, Larson was clearly caught off guard, saying over the radio, "I didn't know they were calling 3. The situation drew criticism from other drivers as well. Kyle Busch didn't mince words after the race. "I heard they were going to police turns 4, 5, and 6, and then it turned into 3, 4, 5. And yesterday, it was only 4 and 5. They ain't got a clue."
What is there? There's turn 13, 16, and 19 that you can run way wide in, so I don't think it's that big a deal.
Larson's race went from challenging to disastrous shortly after his track limits penalty. With just 2 laps remaining in Stage 2, Larson headed to pit road from the 12th position. What followed was a painfully slow pit stop that would change the course of his race. The number 5 Hendrick Motorsports crew appeared to struggle with the left side wheel, taking additional time to secure it. After the extended stop, they finally waved Larson back onto the track. He rejoined the race in 34th position, having lost significant ground during the extended pit stop.
10 away. Keep coming. 5 away, keep coming. 3, turn in, on the sign, 4 tires on the jack. Wait. Wait. Go. No. All right, go. You'll be clear on the way out.
However, the worst was yet to come. As Larson navigated through Turn 6B on lap 44, his right front wheel completely detached from the car. The wheel rolled off into the grass beside the track, allowing the race to continue under green flag conditions. Larson's immediate reaction captured the moment perfectly. He radioed to his team, "I've got a flat or a wheel's coming off." Right. Oh, fucksa. Right front came off. Despite this catastrophic mechanical failure, Larson managed to maintain enough control to limp his damaged number, 5 Chevrolet, back to the pits. The incident was particularly strange because the crew had taken extra time to work on the left side tire, yet it was the right front that failed. Cliff Daniels, Larson's crew chief, was left wondering what had happened. The incident was unusual. A wheel coming off after the team had specifically taken extra time to ensure tight wheel fitment on another part of the car. NASCAR officials wasted no time assessing penalties for the wheel incident. Larson received an immediate 2-lap penalty for losing a wheel during the race, a standard penalty under NASCAR rules. Being held for 2 laps at a road course is particularly devastating to a driver's chances. This will essentially end Kyle Larson's hopes of even a top 25 finish. Being held for 2 laps at a road course is a death sentence. The penalty dropped Larson from 34th to 37th position in Stage 2. By the time Stage 3 began, any realistic chance of salvaging a decent finish had evaporated. For a driver who had finished 7th in Stage 1, this rapid descent through the field was a bitter pill to swallow. That loose wheel could not have come at a worse moment, right after the stop and go and right at the start of Stage 3. The bad news for Larson and Hendrick Motorsports didn't end with the in-race penalties. NASCAR rules regarding wheel failures are quite clear, and further punishment was all but guaranteed. Following the race, NASCAR was expected to enforce additional penalties based on rules that were amended prior to the 2023 season. Under Rulebook heading Section 8.8.10.4c, Tires and Wheels. NASCAR specifies clear consequences for loss or separation of an improperly installed tire wheel from the vehicle during the event. Based on precedent from a similar incident at Texas Motor Speedway in 2024, 2 of Larson's crew members are likely to face 2 race suspensions. Specifically, the tire changer and jackman responsible for the wheel installation would be sidelined for the upcoming Shriners Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway and the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. According to Fox Sports' Bob Pockras, these suspensions were virtually certain following the incident. This creates an additional challenge for Larson and his team as they attempt to rebound from the COTA disaster. As if the track limits penalty and wheel issue weren't enough, Larson's day got even worse. Later in the race, he was involved in another incident when he spun on turn 20 after contact with Ryan Preece.
Bottom 23 is pushing it. Keep coming, keep coming. Come dig. Right side, and left. Right side.
This final setback ensured Larson would finish the race near the bottom of the leaderboard.
That's very clear information about... Whoa! That's a huge one for Larson! That car just snapped on him and went straight into the wall.
Hold on, Judd, hold on. Yeah, I don't know if I blew a tire or what.
That just snapped in a split second.
Yeah.
Whether he blows a tire, I was wondering right front, but right there, it's clear it gets loose. Kyle Larson knows that as well, so I wonder if he's wondering if the right rear tire started to go down, which is what made the car loose. Kyle obviously had...
Kyle Larson has finally opened up about his ongoing struggles with super speedway racing, and he's not holding back. The 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion recently made some eye-opening comments about his frustrations with Daytona and Talladega, admitting that these tracks continue to be his Achilles heel despite his incredible success elsewhere. In an interview on Corey LaJoie's Stacking Pennies podcast following the Ambetter Health 400 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Larson didn't mince words about his feelings. What did the Hendrick Motorsports star have to say? Why is he so frustrated with NASCAR's super speedway racing format? After finishing P3 at the recently reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway, you might think Kyle Larson would be thrilled with the track's new drafting style format. But the Hendrick Motorsports star made a surprising revelation that caught many fans off guard. Larson said, I would still prefer the old Atlanta just because I feel like I would have, selfishly, a better shot.
I would still prefer the old Atlanta, just because I feel like I would have, selfishly, a better shot.
Despite his strong P3 finish, his preference for the old configuration shows just how much Larson values tracks where his individual skill can shine through. The Hampton, Georgia Speedway underwent a major reconfiguration in 2021, transforming from a classic intermediate track to a drafting-style venue similar to Daytona and Talladega. While fans and many drivers have embraced the change, Larson clearly has mixed feelings. Larson explained, but like pure entertainment value, I don't know how it comes across on TV, but behind the wheel it's tense. It's so tense, just grip to the wheel, little movements, it's fun.
But like pure entertainment value, I don't know how it comes across on TV, but behind the wheel it is tense. Like,
oh my gosh, glad you said it, because my heart rate feels like my blood pressure's peaked.
Yeah, just grip to the wheel, just little movements. It's fun.
His podium finish this year stands in stark contrast to his previous performances at the reconfigured Atlanta. Before this third-place result, Larson had finished P30 or worse in his last 4 trips to the track. That's enough to make anyone question a track redesign. When it comes to traditional superspeedways, Larson didn't hold back his true feelings. In a post-race interview with Kelly Crandall following the Atlanta race, Larson said, "Absolutely, all of us are in more control here, so it's more fun. Daytona and Talladega suck like they suck." This isn't just casual frustration, it's a deep-seated issue for one of NASCAR's most talented drivers. The 2025 season didn't start off well for Larson, who finished a disappointing 20th at the Daytona 500 after starting from position 22. His struggles at Daytona are particularly shocking given his excellence elsewhere. Larson has a dismal 0 for 22 record at Daytona International Speedway and just 1 top 10 finish in the Daytona 500 over the past 5 years. For a driver with 29 Cup Series wins, these statistics reveal a glaring weakness in his otherwise stellar career. During his appearance on the Stacking Pennies podcast, Larson expanded on these frustrations in painful detail. It's difficult. You feel like you start to figure it out and then it changes. Like the Daytona 500, although we haven't had good finishes, I'm confident when we go to a superspeedway. We're up towards the mix of it typically, but Daytona I was just mad afterwards because every move I made, which wasn't many moves, was the wrong one.
It's difficult, and I feel like, like you said, you feel like you start to figure it out and then it changes. Like the 500, I feel like, although we haven't had good finishes, I feel like I'm confident when I go to a super speedway. We're up towards the mix of it typically, but Daytona I was just like mad afterwards because I just every move I made, which wasn't many moves, was the wrong one.
Larson's vivid description of racing at Daytona reveals the mental toll these tracks take on him. He painted a picture of helplessness and anxiety that many NASCAR fans might not expect from such an accomplished driver. Larson said, "I was getting gridlocked back there. Just riding around, riding the middle like, okay, when am I going to wreck?"
And then you just get gridlocked, back there, and you're just riding around. Ride around.
Yeah.
And then, it's just I'm just riding in the middle like, okay, when am I going to wreck?
This mentality of anticipating disaster rather than planning for success highlights how deeply these struggles have affected his approach. What makes his situation even more frustrating is watching his teammate William Byron excel in the exact same conditions. Then you see guys like William Byron, who's right next to me, miss the wreck by this much every time. It's like, why can't I line myself up in the right lane ever?
Yeah, and then you see guys like, William, who's right next to me, misses the wreck by this much every time. It's like, I can't, why can't I line myself up in the right lane ever?
This comparison with Byron is particularly telling. With Byron securing his second consecutive win at the season-opening Crown Jewel event this year, Larson's frustration has only deepened. The contrast between the teammates' performances at superspeedways has led to speculation about a potential mental block for Larson. Jeff Gordon, Larson's mentor and vice president for Hendrick Motorsports, has noticed this mental aspect as well. Gordon said, "I think now I'm starting to see it's getting in Larson's head." Despite his struggles, Larson refuses to chalk up superspeedway racing to mere chance. In fact, he pushed back against the common narrative that success at these tracks is primarily luck-based. He said, "But there's